Hello, everyone. It's great to see you. Although I can't see you, you're just a little number in the corner of my screen, but I know you're there and I'm delighted to be here with you. Again, I'm Gwydion Sullivan. Thank you, Jess, for that awesome introduction. My name is so much easier than it looks like it is in writing, just Gwydion, and the last name is pronounced Sullivan. It's the Irish spelling. Hi, welcome. Today I'm going to walk you through the new Play Exchange for writers and really show you hopefully how to get the most out of this thing. There are lots of great insider tips and tricks that we've got. So first I'm going to start by sharing a PowerPoint presentation. Then I'm going to walk you through the site itself, and then we're going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Again, feel free to share those questions at any time, but I'm going to take them all and respond to them all at the end. But drop them in as they occur to you. Okay, so here we go. First is our PowerPoint, and I always start these presentations by reminding folks of what the new Play Exchange actually is in, in its essence. The new Play Exchange is the world's largest digital library of scripts by living writers. So it's at its core, it's a database that you can put stuff in and get stuff out of. But really, it's a lot more than that. Really, it's a community resource. It is a thing that belongs to all of us, no matter what roles we play or what hats we wear in the new play sector, in the theater worldwide. You can be an artist, you can be a producer, you can be part of the higher education community. You can really be an agent, a publisher, a designer, anything, anyone who cares about new plays in one way or another. This is your home. And our mission is really, even though we're all writers here, I myself am also a writer, the mission of the New Play Exchange is not just to serve us, it's really to serve everyone and make sure that we create an accessible, transparent, egalitarian infrastructure that supports what everybody's trying to do. So I also like to remind us of sort of the raison d'etre for the New Play Exchange. The basic premise is very simple. There have always been people who make scripts and the scripts they make, and then people who want those scripts and want to get to know those artists. Sometimes you're in one circle, sometimes you're in the other circle, but there have always been those two groups of people, and not to create a false binary because we don't like those. But until the new Play Exchange, there was only sort of one technology, as it were, I'm using scare quotes, to connect those two groups. There was the submission process, which is this horrible one-way mechanism where writers try and force their scripts in anywhere they can to get them in front of exactly the right people. And the people on the other side are like, no, this is too much. Please don't, slow down. And they put up windows and added the requirements for credentials and agenting and all sorts of anything to sort of stanch the flow. And ultimately that system has mostly broken down. It's kind of zombie technology. It still lives on a little bit, but nobody really likes it. And we all would rather see it, I think permanently dead. Into that situation, we developed the New Play Exchange, which was really in essence, neutral territory. The one place you can go if you're a writer to put your work so that others can find it, and the one place you can go to find that work. It's safe ground, belongs to everyone, eliminates all this anxiety about trying to get your work in the right door in the right slot, eliminates all the anxiety about trying to stanch that flow to find just the work that you need, and ultimately works for everyone. So just a few numbers to sort of make sure you understand the sort of size of the New Play Exchange, and these are from a few days ago, so they're a little low at this point. There are 34,000 scripts in the New Play Exchange, and growing. It's never gone down, it's always gone up. There are about 8,300, I think that's higher now, 8,300 writers. You should know, by the way, the scripts are in many different languages, though mostly English. The writers are in all 50 states and I think about 30 different countries. Readers, which includes literary managers, dramaturgs, artistic directors, designers, actors, anyone who is interested in reading scripts. organizations, which is mostly but not entirely theaters. There are also a few universities, a few agencies, a few play development organizations. People often ask, what are those organizations? Well, for starters, they're the 125-ish members of the National New Play Network, which are the most important new play theaters in the United States. But it's also theaters as large as the Lincoln Center, which is a subscriber, down to the the random Chicago storefront or small collective somewhere that you may not have heard of, but might be interested in your work. There are now more than 50 colleges and universities who are subscribers. There's Ivy League schools, there's tiny liberal arts schools, there's art schools, there's big state schools, there's even some religious colleges. So it's a wide variety, and it's growing massively. And if you are connected with a school and you think they ought to subscribe, especially in the age of distance learning, let us know. And those schools give more than 400,000 students and faculty members access to our digital library. That is quite a thing, let me tell you. So all told, we're approaching, we're nearing 500,000 people who have access to the New Play Exchange, which, considering that we're only 5 years old, is amazing. Okay, so from here, I'm going to turn back over to the actual site itself and start to walk you through a few things that I want you to see. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So what you are looking at now, if you can see my screen, I believe you can, is the dashboard of the New Play Exchange. You've probably all seen it. I trust that you're all experienced writers, but I want to talk to you about some of the ways that this screen may or may not affect you and the ways you can interact with it. Starting with this main area here, the section titled Young Adult Plays. This is what we call our featured list, or our curated list. These are curated for us once every 2 weeks by random users who come forward and say, I have an idea for a set of plays that all fit a specific theme. These are currently young adult plays, which was actually a completely new theme for us. We're very excited about it. And we were delighted to help, as we do always with the featured list, surface content in the New Play Exchange. We want to find the things that that are, the sort of secrets that are revealed in the depth of the database. So here's what I want to say to you all. If you have an idea for a theme, email me. My email address is going to be at the end of this presentation, so no need to take it down now. But email me, suggest something that you think folks are missing that you're willing to put together. Then your name ends up, like Donna Gordon's is right now, on the homepage of the New Play Exchange for 2 straight weeks. It's a great way to sort of serve your community, serve the playwrights whose work you share, and also get a little attention for yourself. So, we're not just going to say yes to everyone. We're currently booked up with lists all the way through August. But we are always interested in more and in new perspectives. So please do reach out to me if you think you're willing to do this. Below the featured lists is this section, recently recommended. This is another way to get yourself on the homepage. It's funny, we have built this entire site so that it enables generosity and giving. Well, the shortest way to get yourself on the homepage of the New Play Exchange is to write a recommendation of someone else's play. This box shows the 4 most recent recommendations in the New Play Exchange. So if you write one, you will appear on there on the homepage until 4 more come after you. So we want to encourage and reward people for serving each other by supporting each other's work. So there you go. If you do write recommendations, and we hope you do, people often ask us, what's the shortest way to get a recommendation from other folks in the New Play Exchange? The shortest way is to write them for others. To write them for others without any expectation of return. If you give, it comes back to you. People in the community notice when you're a giver. So read someone's work, think about their work, write something thoughtful about their work. And if you do that often enough, I believe it will come back to you. So when you write them, the really great thing, if you really want to make a gesture of support for other folks, write them and then share them. Share them on social media, share them on Facebook, share them on Twitter. When you do, we amplify the signal as much as we can with our own social media channels. Just tag us. And also use the contact button on the profile of whoever play you have recommended to write them a note and let them know. Because, it just is about building connections and strengthening your network, making sure that you are part of the New Play Exchange community. And I also want to show you these boxes on the right just to answer a question we get a lot about featured writer, featured play, featured reader, featured organization. People say, how do I get chosen for those? How do I get chosen? Nobody gets chosen. These are literally automatically generated by our database. They randomly, by our system, it randomly selects a different person every day. And by the way, to increase the visibility for everyone, if you're a reader, you see different set than if you are log in as a writer than if you log in as an organization. We wanted to give as many people a chance to participate in the exposure of the homepage as possible. So there's nothing you can do except, wait for the dice to come up with your name on them. Okay, next I want to show you a New Play Exchange profile. I'm just going to show you my own because it's easier that way, and give you some tips about how to make the most of this. The first thing I want to say is just a general note that you should update your profile about once a quarter, once a season. Make a note in your calendar, a recurring calendar appointment every 3 months or so. Update New Play Exchange profile. You'll be surprised that you feel like rewriting your bio or rewriting a synopsis or rewriting something or changing the contact information or doing something to sort of tweak it and make it fresh and alive. Or maybe there's been a new feature launched in the intervening 3 months and you realize, oh, I can now add such and such. Just make it a habit to keep it up to date, the way you would keep your own website up to date if you have one. It's just a regular process. I want to also call your attention now to the fact that you have the ability to reorder the plays on your profile. You just click this little reorder plays button and boom, you get a widget that lets you drag one above another, and then you can save, and then suddenly your plays will be in a new order. Don't get hung up on this, is my tip. A lot of people spend a lot of time asking us, what's the best? Should I do the most recommended down to the least recommended? What is the right order? You'll see that I have one that's more well recommended after ones that are low recommended. That's because I don't particularly work very hard to make sure that the work is any specific order. The fact of the matter is, people get to your plays by searching for plays, by looking them up directly. They don't first go to your profile and then go to see your plays in order. They mostly go directly to your plays. So I would say the most you need to stress about is putting your favorite ones on top and then worry later about the ones that might come below it. There are some people who have large numbers of plays. Someone this morning tweeted that he shared his 250th play on the New Play Exchange. I think a lot of those, to be fair, are shorter monologues. And that person maybe does want to think about a system, but for the most part, for most of us with a small number of plays, it's not worth much stress. Okay, I'm going to click this edit profile button, which we all have. Look, I'm wearing the same shirt in my picture that I'm wearing as I'm presenting to you. I did not plan that, I swear. So now you are seeing the back end of what my profile looks like when it's updated. I want to talk to you about these contact settings that are right here. at the top of my screen. You really, really, really want to check the first box. This box allows anyone who has access to your new Play Exchange profile to email you. That's anything from requesting the rights to your plays, to seeking you out as a collaborator, to thanking you for something you've done, to just wanting to get to know you. Some people are a little wary for various reasons about being contacted by strangers on the internet. And if you have concerns about that, okay, I understand if you want to uncheck the box. That's why we made it possible for you to do that. And I don't want to diminish that in any way. But if you don't have those concerns, I strongly suggest that you leave that on. Otherwise, people who might want to get in touch with you won't be able to. I also really, really want you all to edit your profiles and check yes under receive updates from the new Play Exchange. We're not spamming you. We're not sending you requests for money. We're barely reaching out to you at all. What we do is maybe twice a year of late, although this says 2 to 4 times a year, maybe twice a year, we email you to let you know you got new features to check out. If you don't let us do that, you aren't going to find out about those new features. There's no other emails you're going to get from us about this stuff unless you check this box. So don't miss it. Please, please, please. I also want to ask you to scroll down on your profile and see these demographics section. These are very, very, very important. If you don't have these checked, you are going to miss out on opportunities that want to be shared with people in specific identity categories. So they're not published on your profile. No one is sharing these things publicly. But if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on opportunities that are for people who meet your identity criteria, don't forget to update them. It's really important for you. And it only costs you if you don't update them. Okay, I'm going to hit save here, and then I'm going to talk you through a play. And what I really want you to do, oh, I didn't click the button. Somehow, there we go. Oh, I was impatient. Click twice. Okay, I'm going to show you a play and talk to you about some of the features here. So this is another thing I think you ought to set a calendar reminder to update maybe once a quarter or once every other year, but you can also update them as needed. If a play gets a reading, if a play gets a production, you want to keep the play updated so that when folks see it, they see the latest information about that play. And I'm going to hit edit play so that you can see behind the scenes and talk to you about specific changes that I want to make sure that you all actually make. And my internet is a little bit slow at the moment. There we go. Okay. So the first thing I want to point out is this subject matter keywords area. Okay. Really, really, really important. Don't stress about this. A lot of folks do stress about this. They say, what keywords are people looking for? What keywords do people want to be able to find? How do I know what theaters are looking for? The shorter answer is they're very rarely using subject matter keywords to find plays. When they are, they're simply looking for broad categories. The most frequently used keywords are family and love and things that are so generic. They're not looking for very specific things all that often. When they are, you want to make sure that you've got a small number of keywords that accurately describe the play you have written, but you don't want to stress about it. There's no way to game this. I would suggest that you don't use 1 million of them. If you use 1 million of them, that's going to signal to a producer, this person doesn't really know what their play is about, or it's about a lot of things, and it's going to be unfocused. But also don't use none. Just throw 2 to 6 in there and let that be sufficient for your plays. Okay. Everything else, I also want to stress not checking too many boxes. Make sure that you are truly checking the ones for which your play applies and leaving the others unchecked. If you try and game the system to show up in more search results by checking more boxes, and then producers find your play because they're searching for, say, an opera, and your play isn't an opera, you're just going to piss people off. And nobody wants to do that. Okay, I want to now show you these relatively new length and age appropriateness categories. People have been asking us, what do I do if my play is exactly 90 minutes as far as I know? And I've got one box that says 60 to 90 minutes and the next one says 90 minutes to 2 hours. The answer is check both boxes. If you think you're right on the border there, check the boxes that you are closest to and people will figure it out. And the same thing is true for age appropriateness. If you're unsure, just make sure that you want your play to show up in searches for which people would check that box in question. Okay, one other thing I want to share is this area, the documents area. The new Play Exchange is built such that you have the option to either upload a full draft of your script or just a sample of your script or nothing. And you can just create a profile for the play without any drafts. Please have the courage to upload a full draft of your script. We have heard time and again from producers who are searching the new Play Exchange for new work that if the full draft of the script isn't there, they're not going to consider you. They're going to back away and say, I don't want this person to know I'm reading their work, which is why you don't get detailed information about who's reading your scripts. They want to read anonymously. They don't want to have to ask you for a copy of the script. So if you want really to be considered, you'll take the risk to, which isn't really a risk as far as we're concerned, but you'll upload a full draft of your script. The exception is when it's published. If it's published, you put a link right here where it says published script. You put a link to where the published version is purchasable instead. And, producers understand when a play is published that you're not going to give away the PDF of that play for free. Having said that, a couple things that we really want to suggest that you do. Final Draft, for those of you who use Final Draft, allows you to watermark your scripts. You can put anything you like into that watermark. Copyright reserved for, and put your name in, or contact this phone number or this email address to acquire the rights for the script, etc. Anything you want to put into that watermark, you can do. And then watermark those PDFs and upload those. That will sort of offer a measure of protection. So if people download them, they will see at a glance that that your rights are reserved. The other thing is, for those who are extremely worried about internet piracy, I want to say set up Google alerts for the titles of your plays, maybe the main characters, maybe a key phrase or something like that. And then let them do some work for you to monitor what might be happening in your play, to your plays. But having said all of that, in 5 years and change, 5 years and 4 months almost of the new Play Exchange, we have fewer than this many, fewer than 5. I'm holding up a hand and you can't see me because I've shared my screen. We have had fewer than 5 incidents of people expressing any concern, and in almost all of those cases, those were educational fair uses of material that were resolved very quickly and amicably from all parties. So the fear, we think, for some people greatly outweighs the actual risk here. You've got to protect yourself, copyright your work, strongly suggest that. But don't let that fear get in the way of you actually participating in the new Play Exchange. The last thing I'll say is that unless you have a full draft of your scripts uploaded to the new Play Exchange, you will not be eligible for any of the opportunities that get shared, with the new play exchange, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, how the opportunities module works. So full drafts, full drafts, full drafts. 90% of our writers do use them, do upload them, be part of the 90%. Okay, then I'm going to go back to the play itself. And I want to talk to you about this character section here. This is a relatively new addition to the new play exchange. We really strongly want to suggest that you add your characters to your play. It provides an incredibly in-depth bit of information for those who are considering producing it. The character listings also let people who are searching for work search for specific characters within the new play exchange. They let them, say, hey, I want to do a play that has a role for an Iranian American. Let me find a play that has a role for an Iranian American. That's, the play that you're looking at. This is also the moment at which I have to reveal, I've been saving this until this moment, that we're currently experiencing a bug in the new play exchange as of this morning. Information here that would appear, I don't know if you can see what I'm highlighting, is currently not showing up. And this whole section down here, development, production history, and awards are also not showing up. We pushed a fix live to the website last night for a different issue, and it seems to have caused this one. So our tech team is on it. They're actually 12 hours time difference for us. So they're currently asleep in Manila. But I know that they will get on it when they wake up and get started with a fix. But nonetheless, please do update your character information. It's kind of a fun way to turn on some Netflix and get this done while you binge something. You can also, over here on the right, add reviews to your plays. This is a new feature that people haven't fully yet taken advantage of. It really offers producers a lot of context about the new play exchange, about the plays in the new play exchange. Because now you can know at a glance what I think about my own work with my synopsis, what other users think about my work with recommendations, and what the press thinks about my work if it's had a production. And that way they get this sort of rich stew of opinions about a play that really teaches them a lot about what it might mean to produce that work. I do want you to fill out the development history, production history, and awards for your plays. I can show you what it's like to add one. It's a fairly simple, let's say if this play had a residency somewhere, and let's say it was the Great Plains Theater Conference, which it did have one, so I'm not making that up. And then I could add, typo. Then I could add the year in which that happened. I think it was 2013, and I would hit save. And then if there weren't a bug, then you would actually see it appear on my play right now. Giving that context helps tell the story about your story. It helps people understand where your play has come from, where you maybe would like it to go, whether it's ready for further productions, whether it's ready for its first. It's sort of, it's the origin story for your play. Okay, next I want to talk about the play search. There are two levels of membership in the new play exchange for writers. There's the writer membership, and there's the Writer Pro membership. Those of you who have writer memberships just have this box here where you can start typing something and boom, you start to see results. You can look up plays by title and by name. So if you know of a play or you know of a writer who you want to get to know better, you can look them up. But for an additional $6 a year, that's 50 cents a month, you can upgrade to Writer Pro, which gives you access to these filters over here on the right, which are, I'm just going to walk through them very fast for those of you who don't have them, so you can get a sense of not only what's available for you, but what producers are using to find your work. They can sort by the length and the age appropriateness and the genre and the subject matter keywords and whether your play has been produced or not and whether you've got a full script up there. They can find roles for just plays by cast size or roles for very specific sets of actors as long as you fill out your character profiles. They can sort by or filter results by the narrative attributes of your play, by specific characters, by your demographics. Then they can take all of this information and they can sort it. They can say, I want to see it by title, by last name, by cast size, and by the plays that are the most recommended. It's kind of amazing the amount of things that they can do. And if you want to get a better sense of who's writing work like you, what other peers you have in the field whose work you might want to learn from, you should give yourself the gift of upgrading to Writer Pro and doing that. You can do that by, under the profile tab, you'll see a billing page. It's incredibly simple. Again, this is probably a nice time to remind everybody, we're a nonprofit organization. We're not making any money off of this. We're supported by grants from major foundations. The small amounts that we charge for subscriptions are really so that everybody's contributing a little bit to the general pool to keep the New Play Exchange going for all of us. Okay, I also want to show you the people search, which again is pretty amazing. If you have Writer Pro, you can find writers, you can find other writers. Let's say you want to find a lyricist to work with. And let's say you want to limit those results to people who live in the same country as you. So let's find the United States or even the same state as you. Let me choose, I don't know, Maryland, since that's where I live. Here's 2 pages of results of lyricists who live in Maryland. That's pretty amazing, right? If you want to find dramaturgs to work with, I'm unchecking the box. Here are all the dramaturgs available for freelance collaborations with you in the state of Maryland. And you can sort those results by other identity categories as well. Then lastly, I want to show, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint after this activity feed. So you see this list on the right. These are the playwrights that, I just randomly watched a set of playwrights to show this off, or playwrights and other users. If you have writers whose work you like, there's a little flag that says watch, and now it's going to say unwatch because I've already watched him, but I'm not going to unwatch him. And anytime Brian uploads a new play, I am going to get a recommendation so that I can stay abreast of his work. The same people, if you watch, if they write a recommendation of a play and you think, I like their taste, you get a notification about any recommendations they write. So it really helps you stay connected with the field, stay connected with the writers you admire, and keep learning from them. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint now, and I'm going to show you the last bit. So people ask us a lot about opportunities, the way opportunities work. So, when a organization shares an opportunity with a New Play Exchange, they set a bunch of criteria, eligibility criteria. They say, I'm looking for plays that meet this category by people who meet this criteria or this one. And then they hit save. And as soon as they hit save, an email is generated that goes to your inbox. It looks something like this. So here are my tips about opportunities that I really want to share. Act fast. Number 1, they fill up fast. We don't control when they get sent out. As soon as the user hits send, hit save, they send. So if they're doing their work at 2 in the morning Eastern time, that's going to be 11 p.m. on the West Coast, and 2 a.m. on the East Coast and 2 p.m. in Manila. So you have to act as soon as you get the email to make sure that you get in while it's still open. I also want you to, so that would be clicking this link that says Unicorn Theater's annual call for new plays, which would take you to a page like this. Here's the second thing I want to say. Read carefully. Don't just automatically respond and tag your play to be considered for the opportunity. Too many playwrights are like, well, I was tagged, so I must be eligible or it must be right. The system is only as good as the people who use it. You have to read what they're actually asking for. And if it turns out that the system thought maybe your play might be good, but it's not actually right, or maybe they're looking for unproduced work and you've had a production, you just haven't updated your New Play Exchange profile, so you're not really eligible, just take 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, 3 minutes to read the opportunity before you decide to share your work with it. And then my last tip on the opportunity front is to be patient. Remember, the odds of success in this regard are low. It's a painful truth that there are 10 times as many plays written in a given year as there are world premiere opportunities. 10 times as many. So slow down. Enjoy the process of writing, enjoy the process of sharing your work and reading other people's work. Redefine success along those terms. And if you don't get an opportunity and you don't get a success story through an opportunity, wait for the next one and, find solace in being part of the community. So I want to give a few other tips and then I'm going to stop and answer the questions that have come in. I see there's been a lot of activity in the chat. I hope that's been going okay. First, it's sort of an obvious one, but add links to your New Play Exchange profile everywhere you can. Put them in your email signature, just so they're there anytime you write anyone an email, even your neighbor. Add links to your NPX profile to your social media profiles, in your bio on Twitter, in your bio on Facebook, wherever you can. Put them on your own website. There's, no reason not to drive as many people as possible to where you live on the New Play Exchange. When you send someone a script, include a link to the script on the New Play Exchange. The New Play Exchange offers them a lot more context than you can reasonably write into an email, right? You can't say, and then it had this production, and then it had this workshop, and then it has these 5 characters. Just give them a link saying, if you want to know more about the play, you can find it here on the New Play Exchange. At this point, almost everyone you would do business with in the theater either knows about or already has a profile on the New Play Exchange. It's become required. We have people tell us that, we have agents tell us, if I learn about a new writer and they aren't on the New Play Exchange, I don't think they're very serious about what they do. You all know that because you're here already. So whenever you share your work, include links. When you get a recommendation from someone, share it. Hey, look at this gift I was given. Share it on social media. Tag the person who wrote the thing. Thank them. Use the contact feature to write them an email to thank them. It's about building community. It's about us all sticking together and supporting each other and building the network, which is stronger the more of us are in it and belong. And then again, manage your expectations for participating in the New Play Exchange. We've added about 8 months ago a rights inquiry button to every play. It says inquire about rights. Other than the last 2 months of the pandemic when things have slowed down significantly, the button gets used about 100 to 150 times a month. So there's a lot of success happening out there, right? 100 to 150 is pretty great. But that's, again, against 8,300 writers with 34,000 plays, it's not a ton. But it really, if you think about it, that's about, 2,000 of those in a given year at the high end. And that's about how many world premieres there are in a given year, at least in North America, so, or at least in the United States. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the New Play Exchange. And at the end of the day, it's better to be there than to not be there when someone comes to look for you. The joke I'm very fond of making is that if you just leave your plays on your laptop, only the NSA can find them. And you don't want the NSA looking on your laptop to find your work. Okay, so one last thing before I'm going to take questions. I want to talk about the next 3 years and where we're going, because there's some very cool features coming that you all need to know about. First and foremost, we're adding the ability for scripts in the New Play Exchange to have multiple authors, which means a lot of different things, but primarily will allow people who write musicals to share the credit for their work, book by, lyrics by, etc. It will also allow adapted by, translated by, or work that's devised by an ensemble or created by co-writers. So everyone will get the credit and get the plays on their profile. We are also adding the ability to do monologue searches, which is, we think, going to be kind of a game changer. So writers will be able to share monologues on their profiles, and other users will be able to, presumably actors, to search expressly just for monologues that meet their own demographic criteria and that meet the needs they have for auditions, and then purchase those monologues directly from the writers who shared them. So not, so that we're facilitating a transaction between two other people just to support the field. Right now, if you are a 25-year-old Asian American woman, there's no easy way to find 50 monologues at a glance, all comedic, all for, that meet the 60-second or 90-second time limit you need for an audition you've got. And so for the first time, you'll be able to build your own collection of monologues that you can use for auditions. Micropayments are what's going to enable that, and they're also going to enable the ability for dramaturgs to sell the dramaturgy packets they make directly to the theaters who might want them. So if you work on a new play in one city, you might be able to leverage that work in support of a production of that same play in another city, if you're also a dramaturg. And then lastly, the other new feature that's coming, and when I say coming, by the way, we're about 5 months into a 3-year plan, so we've got a ways to go, is Organization Pro subscription. So right now, organizations can maintain profiles and share opportunities. We're going to give them the ability to maintain their own cloud-based script storage opportunities so that they can keep track of the scripts and the coverage they get from their readers who are reading scripts, and so they can maintain version control and sort of conduct the business of the theater, particularly as it becomes more and more virtualized over the next year or two or more. Okay, so here's the last slide, and I'm going to pause here and sort of ramble for about 20 seconds, just so that you can all take down my email address if you need it, Gideon@nnpn.org. However, if you're super savvy and you've been listening to this presentation, you know you can also search for me on the New Play Exchange and write me that way. You will also reach me just as well. Thank you. That was a lot of me talking. In fact, 46 minutes of me talking. I am going to now stop my share. Now you can see me again. There's a real human being here. I'm going to check out the chat. Boy, okay, I'm going to ignore the chat for now and go to the questions and see if I can start answering those.
I think that's a great course of action.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jess. Okay. Will you be notified if you are a featured writer on the dashboard? No, not yet. It is a feature that that's a thing we want to add into the system when we rebuild it over the next couple of years. We didn't do it the first time around. We didn't think about it, quite honestly, but it seems like a no-brainer. People are very excited when usually their friends find it and email them and say, hey, look, here's a screenshot. You're the featured writer. Oddly, my wife was a featured reader the other day, and it was the first time either one of us had been in 5 years, and it was kind of fun for us both. Okay, Ross Kendall asks, any chance we could get analytics added, such as a playwright being able to see the number of times their plays have been downloaded? So we get this question a lot, and of course I understand why people are interested in it, but we're probably not going to do it anytime soon, is the short and honest answer. The fact of the matter is, I think people think they want this, and the more that I pry into them, I don't think that any of us has an understanding of the context that would be necessary to make that data meaningful. So if you got a number like 20, would you think it was a large number or a small number? If I said you'd come up in, 400 searches included your play in the search results, which I'm not entirely sure we could do or keep track of, how would you know whether that was a lot or a little? There's just, we don't have enough information to be able to give you the kind of information you would need for that to be a meaningful number. And if it was, by the way, 3, because you had kind of esoteric work that was in the pageant genre for a cast of 85, and the answer was 1, would you be disheartened, or would you say, well, my play is esoteric and it's not going to appeal to anyone? So that's the struggle we've had with that from the very beginning, and perhaps one day it will be clearer than it is right now, but it isn't there yet. Will there ever be notifications sent to writers when a play receives a recommendation? I have several that I missed because I never received a notification. I'd love to know when my shows are read and reviewed. I'm going to say a couple things about that. You just heard me exhort everyone who writes a recommendation to tell the people they've recommended. That's because our system doesn't do it automatically. You do get a notification in your activity feed. When we rebuild the new Play Exchange, we intend to make that happen automatically so that you can get an email if you want to. Not everyone wants to get an email notification. I hope that's going to make it into the scope. I'm not 100% sure. The other thing I want to say about this is you've used the word reviewed, and this comes up a few times, so it's worth addressing. Recommendations aren't really reviews. It's a word we try and avoid because it's a production that's reviewed. Scripts are just read and recommended. We use the word recommendation because what we're inviting people to write is their endorsement of a play for a production. If you've read a script and you think you'd like to see this work out in the world, that's what a recommendation is about. Christine Evans, hello Christine, asks, do you have any numbers on how many scripts are found read for production by theaters? I'm under the impression that agent submission recommendations from other professionals is still overwhelmingly the way plays are read and selected. I think it's a mix. I think at this point, the new Play Exchange has become endemic in the American theater. It's not going away. We have one very prominent agent whose name I use a lot. I guess I'll tell you, Beth Blickers, who says, if you're not on the new Play Exchange, she doesn't take you seriously as a writer she might work with. We have the artistic director of No Theater in Cincinnati, a longtime new Play Exchange user, who tells us that 40% of the scripts he's produced since the new Play Exchange is launched were found on the new Play Exchange. We have Raymond Bodkin, the AD of Cleveland Public Theater, telling us that the new Play Exchange is one of the startup pages in his browser, because every morning he sits down with his coffee and he opens his browser and it gives him his email and CNN and the new Play Exchange, because he wants to see what's on the homepage that day and what he might discover. And it's that central to his understanding of plays and playwrights in the new play sector. So I don't think, I really don't think you can avoid needing to be on the new play exchange anymore. It's just really a fact of life at this point. You know, you say agent submissions and recommend agent submissions, you know, ask anyone with an agent, they'll tell you they're not entirely sure that their agent is doing as much for them as being on the new play exchange is. It's, you know, sort of a mixed bag. So I don't think you can do just one and not the other. Sarah Tuft asks, what are the chances of players being able to upload links to Zooms of their readings one day? As someone with ADHD, I've been able to read so many more of my colleagues' plays lately, albeit for tragic reasons, because they're being read out loud by actors. Well, guess what? You can actually do that right now. If you have a recording of your play, there's a place on each play's profile where you can add a link to a video in support of that play. So if you want to give away the farm and actually let people see the entire thing, go for it. You can absolutely do that right now. Alexandra Shields asks, I've had opportunities where one play is eligible, but another play is a better fit, but isn't listed as an option. Is there a way to remedy this? We get this question a lot. And I understand why it can seem frustrating at times, but there is no remedy for this. This is not actually a break in the new play exchange. This is the new play exchange working exactly as it should. If a play is not listed as eligible, it is because it is not eligible, period, end of story. There are eligibility criteria set by a theater, and if your play does not actually match those criteria, it will not be eligible. The only thing you can do is update your metadata on your play to make it match the criteria. If that happens, then suddenly the link will be there. But that's usually not recommended, because if you're changing the genre to meet the genre of the opportunity, then are you really accurately recommending or representing your play? So just use that trick carefully is what I would suggest. Can non-subscribers to New Play Exchange see plays if links are shares? No, they cannot. You must be a New Play Exchange subscriber to download a play from the New Play Exchange. You can see that it's there, but you can't download it. If you have multiple roles in the theater, if you're a playwright and a dramaturg, is there a way to have your profile reflect both roles? Absolutely. Just you can subscribe to multiple profile types. In your case, I would strongly recommend you subscribe. You purchase a writer subscription and a reader subscription, or a Reader Pro subscription. Probably Reader Pro, because then you can get listed as a dramaturg for hire. And that's the way to do that. Okay, how does NPX want to be kept abreast of our victories that have come our way due to the website? We love your victories. We love to hear about them. Thank you, Lisa. You can email us. You have my email address now. I hope you copied that down. You can tweet at us, which lets us amplify your success and share it with the world, or Facebook, post us on our Facebook profile. And just tag us, and we will celebrate with you to the hilt. Lindsay Partain, hello Lindsay. I love that the monologue search will be added in the next few years. In the meantime, do you recommend writers use a monologue tag, or maybe including the word in the title so folks can find them easier? No, actually we don't. The truth of the matter is you've already got all the tools you need to indicate that it's a monologue. Set the cast size at 1. If the cast size is 1, then it's a monologue. If you set the length to 1 minute, there you go. You have already everything you need. And the monologue tag is, I think, suppressed within our system, so it's not useful anyway. Len Cuthbert asks, assumes age appropriateness is audience, not performers. Yes, it is. And actually, we don't like that language, which we chose. So we're going to change that to, in the new version, to age of intended audience, so that that's a lot clearer. Thank you for asking for that clarification. Andrea Carey says, there's nothing wrong with uploading both a full script and a sample. Nothing at all. Go for it. A lot of people do, because sometimes people say, I'm going to download the sample if I like that, then I'll download the full draft. Raina, hi. What are some of the questions that you get from producing organizations and readers? What an interesting question. The biggest one that we get is, do they know I'm reading their work? And the answer is no. They really do not want to read your work if they think you're going to know they're reading your work. That's the big one. It's really, I'm going to stop there. Lisa Thompson asks, can you find out who is following or watching you as a writer? No, you cannot. We wanted to avoid the sort of rat pushing a leverness of social media. We wanted to make it useful so that you can stay abreast of the field, but not about likes and about followers and all those sorts of things that we have plenty of elsewhere in the internet. Oh, my brother Josh. Hi, Josh. Do NNPN theaters mine the New Play Exchange for new work? In my experience, yes, absolutely. They are our biggest fans. They're terrific, and they use it regularly in all their various ways. So honestly, if you're trying to connect with that 125 theater strong group of the best New Play theaters in the country, you just have to be on the New Play Exchange. Mary Crescenzo asks, what is the percentage of foreign theaters making requests for plays? What a great question. I sadly don't know the answer. I mean, I don't have any specifics on who is making requests because that's all handled privately. I just know quantity of people using our rights inquiry button. That's fascinating. I wonder. Thanks for asking. Hello, Deb. Thanks for this. Do you have any rough date for when the monologues will be available? About 2 years from now is the answer to that, unless we get lucky and we're able to deploy that sooner, but I suspect it's going to be about 2-ish years from now. If you've paid your dues for the year but want to add the Writer Pro feature, can you do that? Absolutely. It's all prorated. So just visit the billing page under the profile tab, Susan, and it will just take care of all of that for you. It's incredibly intuitive. Often I get a notification that one of my plays is eligible. When I go to the NPX, there is no tab accessible for that same play. Why? In that case, it's what's probably happening is that theater isn't using our tagging system. It is using its own mechanism for you to share their work with them. So usually if you read the description, the instructions are there. And if you have any problems other than that, you can, here's another email address for you all to write down. You get a wait while you get a pen. support@nnpn.org. They're a crack team. They will solve your technical issues as quickly as they humanly can. So, reach out to them. But definitely what's most likely happening is they're not using the tagging system. They've provided instructions for you to share your work with them another way. Wendy Graff asks, where do things like war plays on the homepage get curated? I have lots of plays on NPX with similar keywords, but none have ever been chosen to be highlighted. Is this some in thing in which whoever is the curator chooses to highlight plays from playwrights they know? It's not an in thing. Our doors are open all the time. I have people emailing me from, left field every other day, some stretches, offering to curate a list. So if you want to curate a list, go for it. You can do it. The only rule is you can't include your own plays in the list, and it has to be a theme that we haven't done before and a theme that we think sort of makes sense for people. But yeah, you have my email address and you can email me if you want to curate one, but they're really done by theater professionals who are thinking to themselves, I see a theme that I'm going to read a bunch of plays about until I find the ones that I think are worthy of highlighting, and I'm going to put it together. People do it on their own recognizance, out of generosity and love. They're not, it's nothing other than that impulse. So join in anytime you like. I have recommended a number of plays and they used to appear on the front page when I did so, but recently my recommendations have not been showing on the front page. Any idea why this might be so? I'm sure they are. They may not happen the second that you write the recommendation. It might be that there's something called a cron job that has to happen and probably happens every 15 minutes or so on the site to republish, but you might just need to check in a little bit later and you will see them there. That's how that works. And if you are still concerned that that's not a problem, that that's a problem, Dominica, then you should write us at support@nnpn.org and let us know. Lisa Thompson asks, is there a way to add a category for online appropriate scripts? I mean, plays that have been written for it and can be performed via Zoom. I guess that's possible. I think I've seen people putting Zoom as a keyword, and I think that's probably, since we don't know how long that's going to be a thing, that's probably the way to go for now, using Zoom as a keyword. I'm open to new ideas about that, and if you want to write me and make a case for why it ought to be different, please do. But for now, I would suggest trying the Zoom keyword and seeing if that works. Raina asked, is there a list of the old lists somewhere? There isn't. I do have them all. In the new version of the site, we're going to make them surfaceable so that you can find all the old lists because they're really great. They're really rich information. So email me if you want to link to a specific one. Other than that, I'm sorry. Maybe we'll publish them all on Facebook so that you all can find them. Christine asks, in the case of published plays which don't have full scripts uploaded, are they also excluded from opportunities? Yes, they are, because of not having the full scripts available. Yes, that's correct. John Levine, what determines whether a submission opportunity can simply be tagged via the NPX site? Tagging is so much more convenient. We agree. We love the tagging system, and what determines it is whether the theater chooses to use it or not. Some of them made clear that as much as the tagging system was convenient for everyone, they had their own esoteric needs and they wanted to make it work in their own way. Unfortunately, we bent a little to make sure that more people could reach more writers. We erred on the side of making opportunities come to you more often than limiting the kinds so that they were easy. Hopefully that was the right choice. Any tips for quick opportunities, discovery, and response using Facebook notifications, etc.? No tips other than the ones I already gave, Joe. When you get the email, take a look right away. Use your phone. Do what you can to answer them. But there's no tip other than quickness itself. J. Lois Diamond asks, can you email us when we're on the homepage or get a recommendation? I think I've answered that already. No, we can't at the moment, but we're hoping to add that down the road. Katie asks, how many theaters are members of the New Play Exchange? I think I answered that already. It's about 800 and some at the moment of the maybe 2,000 theaters in the United States that produce new plays. Are there ballpark parameters for the size of a monologue, shortest and longest? Well, no, because a monologue can be any length. The monologue is just defined by the number of people speaking, right? So it could be, 10 seconds, or it could be a full-length play. You get to decide how long your monologue ought to be. Sarah Tuff says, will we ever be able to reorder development or production history within a given year so the better credits appear first? Maybe, not anytime soon, but I can see why you would find that appealing, that's for sure. Bridget Amos asks, can we recommend new categories like magic realism? I think that's a style to me more than a genre, but you can write me and make that suggestion, any other suggestions just like that anytime. My job, very sincerely, is to hear from the field. And so if you have those recommendations or anyone has any recommendations, that's why I give out my email address. I'm not trying to build the tool I think should be out there. I'm trying to build the tool that the field is telling me needs to be built. So write me and we can talk. Zachary Wilcox asked, do you know if there's a large number of London theaters who use the new Play Exchange? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I wish there were more. I've been trying to find a way to get to London. I was going to be there this April, but you know, we're living through a tough time. I'm trying to find a way to get there and be able to tout the new Play Exchange to theaters there so that they're aware of it, and to writers there as well, because I really want to go anywhere. If anyone has any way, it's not like I'm trying to travel. I've traveled plenty, but I want to spread the gospel, as it were. I call myself the new Play Exchange evangelist, and I want to evangelize about it. So if anyone wants to bring me to your neck of the woods or any neck of any woods so I can talk about it in person, please do. But that, I'm not sure that answers quite the question you asked, but it's all I've got. Thank you for spreading the gospel yourself. Marielle Berlin Fischler asks, is there a way to indicate languages utilized in plays? No, but boy, don't we want that, right? That's in our to-do list for our next incarnation. There are currently plays in multiple languages. You can find Korean plays, you can find plays in Spanish. It's the wild, you know, it's wild and exciting out there. John asks again, what is the difference between the reader subscription and the writer subscription? I would strongly suggest that rather than taking my verbal answer, you go to newplayexchange.org. If you're logged in, log out, and you will see right there a list of the features and benefits. They are different. They're very different. So you can compare them against each other. And again, you can subscribe to multiple types. Jennifer Farley Smith wants to thank me. I feel thanked, and I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for everyone who's part of the New Play Exchange community. It's really, especially these days, it feels like you get to belong, and I'm very grateful for it myself. Last question comes from Isidore. Is it possible to put a link to a sound file that's stored elsewhere in a play description, say a song? So you can currently link to sound files that you upload to, say, SoundCloud or Bandcamp or somewhere else. You can absolutely already do that in your play profiles. Looks like I have one last question. Oh, I got a thank you from my friend Brigitte. Hi. Mariel asks, would you recommend tagging used languages other than English in keywords? Why not? I would say until we have the ability to indicate language of a script, it can't hurt. It's just another way for people to find your work. You know, we always advocate for experimentation and, you know, trying things, because we learn from what other people try. So that is, I believe, that. I'm gonna maybe, oh, I see so many things. Domenica's in London and can help. Let me know. Dominica, you got my email address. Shoot me an email. If anyone has put a question into chat they want me to answer, I don't think I can actually scroll through all of these now.
Yeah. I think the only thing, Gwydion, that's in here that hasn't been addressed, Scott said, when length and appropriate age were updated, the previous links we had were deleted and the age recommendations were changed to all ages. Can you remind folks to re-input the links and age appropriateness?
Yes, yes. So yes, that is true, Scott. Thank you for noting that. When we added the ability to indicate more length options and more age options, the only way we could do it was to kind of reset everybody. So please go into your plays and update those. You'll notice that the categories are different, and it's really easy to update them now. But you know, we want to make sure that those searches are accurate for and useful for people. So definitely update those. I can also report that I have a text for my development team, which is up at 5:41 a.m. in Manila, because they've got twins, little baby twins, and they never sleep. So I'm glad to be able to share that little bug that I showed you is on its way to being fixed. you know, we are not perfectionists in the New Play Exchange. We're artists, and perfection is kind of the enemy of the good. So I've showed you what we had with the warts that we had on it right now, and I hope you all appreciate that. We're not trying to hide things. Things break, we fix them. So anyway, that's maybe a nice note on which to leave. Thank you all 1,000 times over. I'm so grateful for all of the support. I'm so grateful for everybody's presence. I'm so grateful for the community that has built up around the New Play Exchange. Please, please, please stay in touch with us and stay safe, stay healthy, stay well. And that's it. Please take care. Bye, everybody.